I call this Board of Education Teaching and Learning Tuesday, January 9th to order. Myself, Evelyn Gleason, and Dr. Williams are present.
Okay, first item on the agenda is an overnight field trip request. This is for Bremen High School's girls softball team. They want to go to Gordonsville High School in Coopville, Tennessee to participate in a softball tournament. Being a spring sport, they are sometimes held captive to the weather, and so they tend to not be able to play as many games. So this will give the students an opportunity to actually increase their playing time and increase their season. So it's a total of 12 to 13 students. They would actually take the Bremen bus, 4 chaperones. They'll do the bulk of fundraising to pay for it, so it costs about $160 per girl. Okay, they will miss one day of school. They'll miss Friday, the 16th. Questions? Good? Okay. I'll bring that to the board next week. It'll be nice that the students next week for the youth and government will have a few agenda items to do. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. All right, our next item, required course substitutions. Let me kind of go through the history of this. What you have in front of you is the current list of courses. So Illinois School Code allows a board to adopt a policy where the students could substitute a career or vocational course to meet a graduation requirement. So for example, students need 3 years of math. They need 3 years of science. They need 4 years of English. So there are specific courses that we consider regular courses like Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Biology, Chemistry, Physics. Those we expect all students to take. But if it comes time their senior year, if they ended up failing a semester of biology, but they took one of these career courses, we could substitute as long as they passed. Rather than retaking biology, we would substitute this course. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is the current list, and if you flip it over, what I'm asking the board to consider are some additions. And those are highlighted in gray. So AP Computer Science, the Illinois School Board of Education actually is allowing school districts to count that as a math credit. So that's one we'd like to add.
We had AP Computer Science.
Yep, it's open sophomore through senior year, so a student could take both geometry and AP Computer Science or any other math class. And then we'd like to add geology and introduction to astronomy because those are new career courses in science. We're going to remove physics because that course we don't offer anymore. That's the old traditional physics that we used to teach at the junior year, so that's going to come off. And then introduction to engineering design, which is Project Lead the Way. We would, I'm asking if you would consider that as a science credit.
Okay.
Oh, why not?
And next year I'll be asking to add Principles of Engineering, which is the second Project Lead the Way course.
Hey, how you doing, Doc?
Good.
Okay. Questions or
No, that
comments about
sounds
that?
great.
It's pretty straightforward. Parents do have to sign off on this course substitution that actually is part of school code. So I didn't attach the form to it, but basically, you know, I give my son or daughter permission to take or accept social changes for a social studies class. Just so we have it on record. Okay? Easy breezy. Next one is our technology course requirement for graduation. Again, the first page is our current process. So this graduating class is the last class to have MIA as the introductory technology course. After this year, all the students would have taken digital literacy. So the technology requirement is actually a Board of Education, District 228 Board of Education graduation requirement. It's not an Illinois state graduation requirement. So if a student fails MIA, currently they can substitute any one of these classes on the list in lieu of retaking the MIA class. The courses on this list have some technology component to them, which is why the board is allowing for these substitutions. So the courses that are crossed off, we don't offer anymore. So if you would flip it over to the back, what I'm asking the board, and I've kind of reorganized it because some of the classes are year-long, 1 credit, and some are semester-based, is we would be adding iPad digital music, songwriting and digital music that replaces the old audio engineering. AP computer science, because that is very computer based. The introduction to engineering design as new one credit courses to meet the technology requirement. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Do you have any questions about
Just
adding
the
those classes?
English skills extended and isn't Foundations of English Skills a required class?
They are required. They are, however, they're not regular. They're essential level classes. So it's below
so
grade level.
Okay.
And the reason we have allowed it to be a technology requirement is because it's Read 180, and the students are actually on the computer doing an online curriculum.
This songwriting will teach them how to write music.
That's
Digitally.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. So the students would start off in iPad digital music, where they're actually learning GarageBand. If you ever heard of that app,
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
I have it. I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
There's actually a lot of instruments that students could play on
Oh
the
yeah,
iPad.
the piano is on. Yeah.
And then they'll kind of use that as a springboard into songwriting and digital music, where they're actually using more higher end software, electronic keyboards, Pro Tools, and Reason.
And we have people teaching that.
We do.
Wow.
It's a district course, so Oak Forest students go to Bremen, and the Tinley kids go to Hillcrest, and they take the class there. The iPad digital music is actually at all 4 schools, because that just requires the iPad.
Okay.
So any questions about that piece before I bring up
No.
the second piece? Okay, so the second piece I wanted to address is we've been kind of struggling with transfer students. So students that come to the district, freshman year, they would just go into digital literacy. But moving forward, if I'm a junior coming in, do we really want to put them with a freshman class? Or my recommendation is, do we review their transcripts, see if they've had any technology-based courses, and accept that meeting our requirement, and or take one of the courses on the substitution list.
And do you see that kind of trend? I mean, the kids that are, I don't know where they're coming from
Kind of all over.
now.
What we currently do is we actually give them the proficiency test and have them proficiency out. Do we really need to do that, as opposed to if they've had a technology course in their previous school, would we just allow the
Plug them
substitution?
into something else.
Exactly, because it's not a state requirement. This is just a District 228 requirement.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with
I
that.
was
Do you,
going
Mark?
to say, you got to remember that it's a district requirement, not a state requirement.
Yeah.
So if you're coming from a lot of other schools,
They're not going to have it.
They're not going to have an exact fit like what we
Okay.
have. So
Would you feel comfortable with allowing that?
And who
Sure.
would make that
Yeah.
decision? You or?
Well, I would have a conversation with the assistant principals, and if they had a question, use their professional judgment, or call the school and say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this class? Is it technology based? And if they had any concerns, they would call me and say, do you think this would fit as a substitution?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
now-
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's it. That's all I had.
we had a couple of seniors talk about the personal finance class today, because they missed out on it.
Oh.
Seniors, but they wanted to take it, but they didn't want to be
Couldn't
with
fit it in.
freshmen.
Mhm.
So they appreciated the course.
Yeah.
That's an important one.
Yes.
And that was reiterated today by our kids.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty cool.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:38.